Yeah, I mean, I would go back and probably talk, build on what Gerardo said. I think the retailer is a big part of this, and if we look, most of our grower packer shippers in Frutura are in Latin America. And if you look at those, the practices are very different. And they're very different because they sell to European retailers. And the European retailers have different requirements and they audit the growers. Our Latin American growers get audited like 32 times a year from the supermarkets. The North Americans get Costco and Walmart. That's it, twice a year. So they have very different requirements. And the reason the European supermarkets have very different requirements is because the consumer demands it and the legal and regulatory structures are there to support it. So I don't want to say Europe is all unicorns and rainbows and everything works perfectly, but I do think like the retailer has to get on board here, right? And the way we get the retailer on board is to pressure the consumer. So look, there's going to be proactive growers and reactive growers. We've seen it with the environment, we've seen it with chemicals, we've seen it with food safety. Some people know it's coming, they get ahead of it, they embrace it. Others will go kicking and screaming and they will still bitch about it 20 years later, right? I mean, people are still bitching about food safety, right? It's done. And we should have food safety. So if the retailer doesn't make those growers come along, they're not going to come along, right? They're just not. And the way you get the retailer to do that is that consumer that supposedly shares the value with that retailer because they have the right price or they have organics or they like the way their store looks.